The darkness enveloped him as he found himself suddenly transported to a place he had never imagined. He was in hell, with nothing but his desire to live and a primal ability to hunt and consume. With each passing moment, he grew stronger, absorbing countless demons as he climbed from the first to the ninth circle of hell. Even the most powerful demons, the 7 great dukes of hell, bowed down to him. After 10,000 years, he returns to Earth. Welcome to the Hell of 9 Skies, the deepest depth of hell, a treacherous landscape where only the strongest demons gather. The environment is immeasurably hostile, with an ever-burning path of fire, molten lava capable of incinerating anything, a twisted and unpredictable terrain, and a blood-red sky. The strongest demons congregate here, engaging in eternal battles, probably not the ideal vacation destination. As we observe this chaotic realm, a horned ogre-like demon with an incredibly muscular and menacing physique emerges, giving chase to a red lion demon soaring through the crimson skies. The ogre demon forcefully punches the ground, causing it to rupture, but the red lion demon gracefully evades the attack. In retaliation, the red lion demon lands a devastating counterblow to the ogre demon's face, sending him hurtling through the debris and lava. I hope the demon has insurance for this kind of thing. Despite the devastating blow, the ogre demon, known as the Great Demon Gargas, remarkably remains standing, visibly disappointed and enraged at the red lion demon, who is revealed as the renowned figure, Great Demon Balak of the Ninth Hell. The stage is set for a one-on-one battle between the 2 great demons, Gargas and Balak, as they continue to ravage the landscape with their ferocious attacks. Place your bets, folks. We witness the fierce Balak execute a skydiving maneuver that culminates in a powerful punch, sending Gargas hurtling to the ground once again. The battle intensifies, and the end seems imminent. Balak stood in the crater of his destruction when something caught his attention. Suddenly, small one-eyed demon clones of Gargas materialize out of thin air to pin Balak down, catching him off guard. That's a cheap shot, man. Gargas then unleashes his most formidable attack yet, but it fails to connect. It becomes apparent that Balak cannot be held down by such petty tricks. With fists ablaze with the flames of hell itself, fueled by hatred and rage, Balak tears through the chest of the great demon Gargas with a single strike, ending the life of one of the 9 Hell's great demons. In this unending fight for the title of the strongest, they believed there would never be a victor. That is until someone else appeared, until he appeared. Wait, is there someone out there even stronger than these freaky demons? In a dark and ominous castle, a gathering of thousands of grotesque and sinister demons is taking place. These demons, trembling with fear, kneel on one knee as they gaze forward. Amidst the haunting silence, we even see a familiar figure, a demon over 5 meters tall and had his skin covered with red fur. His muscular body was as sturdy as stone, and on his forehead, he had horns that resembled a goat. He had sharp, protruding molars and giant bat wings on his back. He, who had the typical appearance of a demon, was kneeling fearfully in front of someone. That's our boy Balak. In the center of the castle sits the throne of the supreme ruler, beneath the skull of an incomprehensible monster. The Demon King, zenith of all demons, resides here, having unified the previously divided 7 factions of hell. The Demon King sits on a throne made of the bones of the strongest demons he has slaughtered. He is a man wearing a terrifying helmet burning with a grim purple flame and dark armor of powerful proportions, with dragon heads protruding from his shoulders. He exudes a breathtakingly strong demonic energy. Balak, who is known to be unbeatable except for the Archdukes, is terrified as he approaches the Demon King to ask why he wants to return somewhere after conquering everything in hell. What a badass Demon King introduction, man. The Demon King responds in silence, making Balak and the thousands of demons in the castle uneasy and terrified. The demonic energy surrounding the Demon King becomes more intense as his power, the authority of predation, is released throughout the whole place. Balak takes a step back in fear of being devoured by this power. The authority of predation can absorb the bodies and abilities of any demon it touches. The Demon King has devoured all the demons of the Hell of 9 Skies, making him the peak of all evil. Damn, talk about overpowered. The thousands of lowly demons tremble in fear of incurring the wrath of their king. When they feel the pressure of the authority of predation, the only thing in their minds is that they are about to be eaten. The Demon King, dissatisfied with his current situation, begins to speak. He has everything when it comes to the deepest depths of hell, but he has lost 10,000 years living in this unchanging scenery, day-to-day life of slaughter. He slowly removes his helmet, revealing his appearance as a young man with dark hair and red eyes. We are introduced to our main character, the peak of all evil, zenith of all demons, the Demon King, Okangwu. Balak, his loyal subordinate, misinterprets O Kangwoo's dissatisfaction as hunger and orders the demons to prepare food for him. The lesser demons quickly comply and carry a huge, covered plate for O Kangwoo to devour. For a show of loyalty, Balak slowly opens the cover and reveals the head of Focalor, the one who was leading the largest remaining army of the Archduke. It was a grotesque head resembling an octopus with its tentacles and blue slime oozing around it. They could have at least cooked it, no? In a fit of rage, O Kangwoo threw the head back at Balak and cursed him out after seeing the unappetizing meal that the demon prepared for him. Enraged, he released his demonic energy and declared that he wants to eat kimchi stew. The surrounding demons began murmuring the words they just heard from the king, kimchi stew, and started cheering for it. Balak chimed in and offered to take the head or organs of whatever or whoever kimchi stew is made of. O Kangwoo cursed them out after hearing this absurd imagination, as he knew that meat was an ingredient of the kimchi stew, but probably not what the demons were imagining. Bro's about to go to war and slaughter for kimchi stew. O Kangwoo sighed at his rowdy demons and thought that explaining what food was to them made no sense, since they had never grasped the concept of meals. Food was nothing more than the authority you had over the loser if you won a battle. Balak interjected that O Kangwoo had been bored lately because there was no entertainment. He attributed it to the fact that his lord had killed all 7 Archdukes and had become bored with slaughter. The demons started cheering for their bloodthirsty king, frustrating O Kangwoo even more since all the entertainment he wanted was manhwas and novels. He's just like me for real. Balak and the horde of demons started solemnly kneeling, for they could not satisfy the demon king with all their remarkable powers combined. Balak even went as far as asking O Kangwoo to take his life for not being enough. With a desperate expression, Kangwoo muttered that if he at least had a loved one here, it wouldn't be so bad. We then hear a sultry voice from the crowd of demons, offering herself to O Kangwoo. The queen of Succubi and the greatest beauty in hell, Lilith, captivated every single demon in the castle. Succubi, sign me up. She expressed her dissatisfaction for O Kangwoo not being satisfied with having her heart. We eventually see her crying in every single one of her 10 eyes, with her tentacles for hair stretching out everywhere. It was at this moment that O Kangwoo finally broke. Condolences, brother. Lilith insisted on finally being the Kangwoo tonight. Kangwoo then ordered her as the king not to come to him tonight out of fear. Lilith takes this as Kangwoo just being coy and shy. Lilith stretched out her slimy tentacles and gripped Kangwoo's arm. The Demon King's disgust was visible in his face. But the demon horde either blush or are jealous seeing the sight of Lilith interacting with Kangwoo. Kangwoo's disappointment is immeasurable. The succubi that are the beautiful women from the stories he'd heard are far from reality. Kangwoo does everything in his power to get out of the terrifyingly seductive grasp of Lilith. From his point of view, Lilith looked more grotesque than Balak. No eye exams in hell, I guess. He thought that outer appearance wasn't important in terms of love, but still, this is too much. This wasn't a matter of whether she was pretty or ugly. Her outer appearance just didn't fit human aesthetic standards. With all this happening, Kangwoo clenched his fist with a desperate expression with only one word: Earth. He needs to return to Earth. This shocked Balak and Lilith. His decision was firm, despite his underlings having tried to convince him for 10,000 years. No, them trying to convince him only made his decision firmer. After a long 10,000 years in hell, his preparations have been completed after consuming the final Archduke, Baal. Kangwoo gripped his throne. It's finally time. Here we go. The Demon King is descending, or rather ascending, to Earth. He stood up and walked the hall of his castle. It's time for him to reap the rewards of his 10,000-year struggle. He turned and ordered Balak to prepare that thing. Balak's doubt was apparent as he sought confirmation from Kangwoo, but the Demon King simply responded by unleashing his vast amount of demonic energy, staring at Balak with disdain and not bothering to repeat himself. Balak quickly kneeled to apologize for his actions, and then hastened to prepare for what was to come. Never make the king repeat himself, bro. We see Balak commanding the thousands of demons in the horde to prepare the equipment of the 7 Archdukes and call on someone named Amon. The demonic horde promptly obeyed Balak's orders with unwavering conviction. In a dark and ominous cavern, a witch doctor-like figure with a menacing staff emanating death stood amongst a number of horned stone statues, each of them holding an artifact in their hands. This must be the equipment of the 7 Archdukes. Kangwoo, Balak, and Lilith stood at the bottom of the stairs leading to a sinister altar in the middle of the stone statues. Balak informed Kangwoo that everything had been set and prepared. Kangwoo started walking towards the stairs. Lilith couldn't help but shed a tear as she knew what her Demon King was about to do. And even Balak started to shed tears at the sight of Kangwoo's figure walking away. Come on, man, you made the kitty cat cry. We see Kang Wu removing his imposing armor and leaving it on the floor, revealing a figure of pure muscle, evident from fighting and conquering for 10,000 years. 10,000 years of hellish workout pays off. The witch doctor greeted Kang Wu with the stares and instructed him to push a great amount of demonic energy into the equipment of the 7 Archduks, warping the boundaries of space and time and forcibly opening a dimensional fissure. This witch doctor is revealed to us as the Dark Magician, Amon. There's only one true Dark Magician. Everyone knows that. Kang Wu took note of the instructions and immediately proceeded. In his mind, the only thing that mattered now was going home. In front of the altar, a physical manifestation of his demonic energy began pouring out. His aura took on the appearance of a menacing purple smoke. He started to feel the space around him, and his demonic energy became so condensed that it turned into a purple ocean around the space. The sea of purple oceanic demonic energy started to solidify into a sphere of remarkably pure demonic energy, Kang Wu's very own 10,000 demon energy core. After an eternal silence, a single drop was heard. Release. Kang Wu's 10,000 demon energy core exploded, and a burst of demonic energy could be seen everywhere. We see Amon being overwhelmed by ecstasy just from being near and witnessing the 10,000 demon energy core in all its glory. The 10,000 demon energy core flex is fire. The demonic energy emanating from Kang Wu caused the eyes of the stone statues surrounding him to glow with the same hue. Amon confirmed that the 7 Archduke's equipment was reacting to Kang Wu's power, and the gate would soon open. As Kang Wu warped the boundaries of space and time, we heard his thoughts. Even if he returned to Earth, his family, friends, and lover would not be there. Right in the field's brother, but anything was preferable to the literal deepest depths of hell where he currently stood. The gate cracked open, and Kang Wu strode toward his new conquest. Before he entered the gate, Lilith and Balak called out to him, pleading with their king not to abandon them. Kang Wu simply responded with the words, "Do not cry," out of fear of seeing the appearance of a crying succubus. Lilith, head over heels for the Demon King, misinterpreted it as a gentle attempt to ease her pain. In her excitement, she began to spurt liquid from her tentacles, screaming to Kang Wu that she wanted to go with him. "Run, Kang Wu, run." Without hesitation, Kang Wu jumped through the gate. Lilith shouted that she would follow him no matter what, but Kang Wu responded by turning around mid-fall and flipping off Lilith, Balak, and hell itself with a smug smile. He never wanted to see them again or return to that place. Ladies and gentlemen, the pinnacle of evil himself. As he fell through the time and space dimensional fissure, he pondered his 10,000 years in hell. He realized he had no past he wanted to change or future he wanted to go to. He'd take anything that looked and felt like the Earth he knew. I hope everything goes smoothly. As Kang Wu fell through the endless void of the dimensional fissure, he eventually landed beside a glowing blue orb in a futuristic-looking room. Relief washed over him as he smiled at the prospect of finally going home. However, his joy was short-lived as the blue orb changed to red, emitting electrical currents. Red is definitely bad. A notice popped up stating that the Gaia system was detecting the fissure's nucleus. Red laser lines appeared, seemingly trapping Kang Wu in the room. He was utterly bewildered by what was happening. Warning notifications began to appear, stating that the power of the nucleus exceeded the system's limit, causing the activation of defense mechanisms across all dimensions. Kang Wu's mere existence had overloaded the Gaia system, prompting the defense system to fire a red lightning shock at him. But the system failed to eliminate the fissure's nucleus, and a prompt appeared stating that it was impossible to do so. That's an extremely tough nucleus. Throughout the process of the system trying to eliminate him, Kang Wu gritted his teeth. Eventually, the system opted to initiate a restricted sealing as it failed to eliminate the Demon King. Kang Wu screamed in anger as he was being sealed but was eventually knocked out by the system. Looks like the commute to Earth is kinda rough. As Kang Wu regained consciousness, he found himself lying on a grassy plain. Opening his crimson eyes, he saw a dense forest beyond the bushes. He felt relieved to be home, although his body ached with pain. To understand his situation, he checked his status and a window appeared, confusing him. The window showed his name, O Kang Wu, and stated that he was a level 1 of the first stage awakening. It also revealed that his first stage awakening attribute was the authority of purgation, but the rank was unknown. His second stage awakening attribute would only be revealed at level 10. He had an unknown innate class, and his innate stat was demonic energy. Status windows is only gonna get more and more crazy from here on out. As he pondered his situation, an unpleasant sound like scratching iron caught his attention. When he turned towards the noise, he was startled by a group of goblins wielding weapons, rushing towards him like he was their prey. Kangwoo was confused by what he saw, realizing that the Earth he knew didn't have creatures like these goblins. Where in the world did he land? We see the nasty group of goblins lunging towards Kangwoo, brandishing their various weapons. Kangwoo then immediately postures to utilize his demonic energy, gathering his monstrous strength towards his right hand. But to his surprise, the demonic energy he tried to gather did not materialize. The demonic energy inside the 10,000 demon core has been weakened to a staggering degree. Oh no, the nerfs has come. Before Kangwoo even processes how his powers have been locked away, the goblins are already within striking distance from him. He seems reluctant to use powers that he would have just scoffed at if he was at full power, but he does not have any choice. He instantly slices and dices the two goblins that were about to attack him with their blades. We are introduced to the sinister blade protruding from Kangwoo's right arm, the demon Sabmak's authority of the blade. Another one of the goblins tries to get close to him but meets the same fate. Authorities of demons, as the MC's power system sounds so fire. A prompt appears whenever he dispatches a goblin, saying he has eliminated the E-rank regular monster goblin and that his XP has increased. He continues to mow down the group of goblins until his level has increased to 4, and the grind starts. Looking at the remains of the battle, Kangwoo cannot help but wonder what these monsters are, what this XP thing is, and why he actually feels stronger after defeating these goblins. He sees the aftermath of this battle and decides to start gathering information first. Finally, we see him activating his skill, the Demon King Kangwoo's authority of predation, as multiple menacing, grim, dark purple specters materialize from him. The demon pets of the Demon King must eat. Through using his predation ability, he ascertains the biological info of the goblins he just defeated, but he cannot find any more information about this world. He is alerted with a notification of his demonic energy going up by 1 point. This notification utterly confuses Kangwoo. A type of energy that should just exist in hell exists in this place that he is in. That means there's a possibility that he did not land on Earth. This possibility terrifies and confuses Kangwoo. The reason he was able to endure hell is because of the hope that he would return to Earth one day. In the middle of his mental breakdown, he hears a scream from a distance. It's not a scream that a demon or a monster would make. He realizes that it's a scream coming from a human, and it's a woman. Let's see how lucky Kangwoo is. Without a second thought, we see Kangwoo utilize another remarkable power to rush through the forest, accelerating to an unbelievable degree. We just witnessed the demon Valifer's authority of speed. While running through the forest like a breeze, Kangwoo was thinking that for 10,000 long years. He's only ever seen monsters covered with tentacles or with multiple limbs, so he doesn't care if whoever was screaming was attractive or not. If they have 2 eyes, 1 nose, and 1 mouth if they're human, he would be elated. Thinking about Lilith, he steeled his resolve to detest tentacles. Tentacles are an absolute no. Don't knock it till you try it, bro. Our Demon King finally arrived at where the screams were coming from. He was greeted with the sight of a horde of goblins, more than the group that attacked him, surrounding someone with long and purple hair trapped against a tree. As he got closer and closer, he's been chanting to himself to please let it be an actual human. Kangwoo didn't even pay attention to the horde of goblins he's been passing by. He is only focused on the figure that's been screaming for help. When he was near enough, he saw 2 beautiful golden eyes full of tears, 1 nose, 1 mouth, and a body of a human woman. It was almost like a dream. She didn't have tentacles. Kangwoo screamed in celebration like he has never before. This guy has the tentacle trauma. He was running with tears in his eyes, almost forgetting that he is in the middle of a bloodthirsty goblin horde. A goblin postured to slash the lady with its blade, but before it could even get close, it was annihilated by Kangwoo's authority of blade along with the whole horde. It only took Kangwoo a second to eliminate the group. He reached his hand out to the beautiful lady leaning against the tree. The lady took Kangwoo's hand, and he felt his Demon King heart skip a beat. Suddenly, his 10,000 years of torment was all worth it. We are witnessing the zenith of all demons love-struck. Kangwoo is just an overpowered simp. While trembling in his shoes, the purple-haired lady was expressing her gratitude for saving her from the goblin horde, introducing herself as Han Solo. Kangwoo was speechless, and he could not move from his position while holding Sola's hand. When Sola asked if there is some sort of problem, Kangwoo grabbed her by the hand and eagerly asked her to get married, leaving Sola confused and dumbfounded. The Demon King has, in fact, no riz whatsoever. Han Solo was taken aback by the sudden marriage proposal from her rescuer. She had just been saved from a deadly goblin horde and didn't know how to respond. Kangwoo, realizing that he got too excited at the sight of the first human he's seen in 10,000 years, quickly apologized and introduced himself. He asked if Sola was alright, as she had sustained an injury while running from the goblins. That's right. Take it down a notch, Demon King." Before Sala could even answer, she collapsed in Kang Woo's arms due to her leg injury. As she fell, something fell out of her cloak, a smartphone. Kang Woo saw this and was relieved to see evidence that he was actually on Earth. He sat Sala down near a tree and offered to treat her injury, which she gratefully accepted. "You gotta get your own smartphone ASAP." As Kang Woo treated her injury by ripping his own cloak to make a bandage, he thought about how he and Sala were able to communicate despite his time in hell. Flashback to a few thousand years ago. Kang Woo, the Demon King, had forbidden the demon language in hell and made them speak Korean exclusively. He even tutored the demons personally. He did this so he would not forget how to speak his own language by the time he returned to Earth. Now, his decision was paying off as he was using Korean with a fellow human, a demonic battalion speaking Korean. That would certainly be something to behold. As Kang Woo finished dressing Sala's injury and handed her the smartphone, he saw the current year was 2023. We're in the same timeline. Kang Woo was certain he had adjusted his time and space warp correctly, which meant that monsters like the goblins started to show up on Earth during the 5 years he was in hell. He told Sala to rest before they moved on, as he thought about how much he didn't know about his current position. Kang Woo began to ask Sala why she was in such a dangerous place, and she revealed that she was hunting Solo inside an E-rank gate due to her circumstances. She had only awakened as a player the day before and realized it was a mistake to hunt Solo. Kang Woo didn't understand some of the terms she was using, but he knew everything was valuable information. He asked her what level she was, and she replied that she was only level 6 as she had recently awakened. This embarrassed Kang Woo a little, as her level was higher than his current level as the Demon King. "You gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers." Seeing how strong and skillful Kang Woo was at eliminating the goblin horde, Saul also asked what he was doing in an E-rank gate, to which he replied that he too has his own circumstances. They sat near the aftermath of battle, resting after a life and death situation. Their shoulders touched, and Sol could not help but blush. She stood up abruptly to cut the tension, disregarding her injury, asking Kang Woo to get going. As quickly as she stood up, her leg acted up and almost brought her down right then and there. Luckily, Kang Woo caught her and offered to give her a hand, causing Sala to be even more flustered than she already was as she tried to decline Kang Woo's assistance, saying that she had already caused too much trouble. Kang Woo charmingly responded by stating that refusing help in situations of need is not a virtue, so he'd lend her a hand towards their destination. He asked Sala what direction they should go in, and Sala blushed as she pointed out where to go and accepted his help, just until they got to the entrance of the gate. The Demon King has the authority of Riz after all. We see Kang Woo, the Demon King, let out a smile as he thought about this first conversation he'd ever had with another human in 10,000 years. Excluding his eagerness to propose marriage earlier, everything had gone smoothly, and Sala didn't seem to suspect his identity. As the two walked side by side to the entrance of the gate, Kang Woo strengthened his determination to learn and adapt to Earth's society. I have a feeling that adapting might be not so easy. As they arrived at the gate, uneasiness was visible on Kang Woo's face as he saw a portal as big as the tree it was attached to. After seeing this dimensional rift in space, he identified that this current location must not be completely Earth. After observing further, he didn't see any equipment that was making the rift, so how a gate as large as this one maintained itself was the big question in Kang Woo's head. They got batteries hidden somewhere in there for sure. Sala's injury felt better, so the two decided to step into the dimensional rift. Kang Woo was enveloped in a blinding light. As he opened his crimson eyes, a bustling area of people dressed in armor, cloaks, and other fantastical gear littered the place. Some were recruiting members for a goblin hunting party. Some were tinkering with a modern monitor, and there was even a so-called rogue begging to be let in on a party. The only thing that Kang Woo saw in common was that they had 2 eyes, 1 nose, and 1 mouth. Everyone here was human. He's actually back now. Kang Woo opened his eyes to the sight of a busy street, the warm sunlight touching his skin, high-rise buildings, and a vibrant urban area was displayed before him. This sight caused a tightness in his chest, and the Demon King could not help but be moved to tears that he really was back home now. Just let it all out, buddy. Seeing this side of Kang Woo, Han Sol formally invited him to eat with her at her house. She said that she felt grateful and sorry for everything, and she wanted to repay Kang Woo with a meal. Hearing and seeing the beautiful Solha, the only thing in Kang Woo's mind was that it really was spring. The Demon King is off to a wonderful start. As he was about to accept Solha's invitation to have a meal at her home, a firm voice could be heard asking them to wait. Kang Woo turned around to see 2 men who looked like law enforcement asking them to show their player cards just to confirm. This confused the newly arrived Kang Woo as he did not know what a player card was, Sala took out hers, while Kang Wu pretends to comply. What is this guy going to pull? As one of the men approached him, Kang Wu's eyes suddenly turned completely black with snake-like emerald irises. He activated his ability to twist the recognition of a target, the ability to manipulate the target's eyes to his will. With the phantom of a grotesque green demon with tattered rags as a blindfold and a red eye inside its mouth, this is the demon Dantalian's Authority of the Blind. That demon authority is 100% certified overpowered. You never have to carry IDs again. Kang Wu showed his middle finger to the man, and the man approved it, leaving him in a trance state. Kang Wu's signature move. Kang Wu and Sala then proceeded to walk home to the lady's apartment. Sala apologized as the apartment didn't have an elevator, so they had to take the stairs. Kang Wu was just happy to be there as he smelled the scent of an old apartment, the narrow stairways, the cold sensation of a railing, and the dusty windows. Everything made his 10,000-year dream feel real right now, especially since he was in the beautiful Ms. Sala's home of all the places he could be right now. You deserve the dream come true, man. Everything going smoothly gave Kang Wu the optimistic boost that a happy future would unfold from here on out. Don't feel too optimistic, buddy. Just don't. With everything going his way, Kang Wu couldn't help but laugh internally at his good fortune since leaving Hell. Until he hears Sala calling out to her mom. It looks like our Demon King imagined a very different scenario than the one he is in right now. Sala's mom quickly came to tend to her daughter, who just got back from a hunt, making sure that she was okay. Contrary to what Sala did, going hunting alone, her mother had told her to go in a party. With an awkward laugh, Sala lied to her mom that she had gone with a party so as not to worry her mother even more. Kang Wu finally accepted the fact that Sala's invitation was really just for a meal. Sala promptly introduced Kang Wu to her mother as her savior when she was in a pinch earlier. Kang Wu politely bowed. It looks like 10,000 years in hell could not remove Kang Wu's politeness. He's a good man. Sala's mom immediately took Kang Wu's hand and sincerely thanked the man who had rescued her daughter from danger. Kang Wu was then invited inside the mother and daughter's home, and the mom promised to prepare something as delicious as she could. Kang Wu thanked the mother and daughter for their hospitality, even though in the back of his mind, he would have preferred to have dinner with just Sala and him. But thinking back to his life in hell, he quickly felt that there was plenty to appreciate and be thankful for here. As they headed inside, Sala saw the text she had received from her mom while she was hunting. Kang Wu saw the smartphone and it immediately caught his attention. He remembered his mission to gather as much information as possible about the current state of Earth. He then proceeded to politely borrow Sala's mobile phone, using the excuse that he had just lost his. Sala, with her trusting nature, immediately complied. She told Kang Wu to feel comfortable while waiting for the meal to be ready as she went to her room to change her clothes. What an angel! Do not mess this up, Demon King. As soon as Kang Wu felt the familiar sensation of a touchscreen, he was reminded of his past. After 10,000 years, everything on Earth felt impressive to him, but he had no time to be impressed. He removed his cloak and prepared for some serious research. Those muscles, though. Ever since he was dragged into Hell 5 years ago, he had been researching news articles from 2018 to see what had happened in the world during his absence. Let's take a step back in time to February 22, 2018, the day of the calamity, the day that changed the world. Flashback alert. On that cursed day, unknown and terrifying monsters suddenly appeared from hundreds of gates, like the one that transported Kang Wu to Earth. The world was thrown into chaos as these monsters were immune to firearms and even heavy artillery was no match for their hulking figures. Hundreds of thousands of military forces were massacred fighting these monsters. This calamity led to the founding of the Emergency Operation World Union, and Korea was the 9th country to join. The first player appeared in the United States of America. However, the identity of the first player is still a mystery. Starting with her, the number of players drastically increased worldwide, signaling a ray of hope for humanity in these catastrophic times. Of course, the first player is American. Back to the present, Kang Wu sat at the dining table, intently reading every article he could find regarding the past 5 years. He had realized that the 22nd of February, the day of the calamity, was also the day he was dragged to hell. This was a crucial piece of information for him. Nice one, Sherlock. Kang Wu deduced that it might be possible that one of the hundreds of gates was responsible for sending him to the place he despised for 10,000 years. However, every news article he read was based on speculation. He needed a more detailed account of everything that had happened. Sala's mother suddenly yelled that the food was ready, carrying a hot pot towards the table where Kang Wu sat. Kang Wu's expression brightened at the sight of the pot. Before he could even thank Sala's mother for preparing the meal, he stopped in his tracks as he caught a glimpse of what was inside. He couldn't believe his eyes. It was kimchi stew, the only thing that had kept him sane during his time in hell. Numerous side dishes were waiting to be devoured as well. Although Sola's mother wished Kangwoo a nice meal, he was already entranced by the kimchi stew and couldn't hear anything. All that mattered was the food in front of him. He took a spoonful of stew, and Sola and her mother began to eat too. Kangwoo's hands shook as he took his first bite. The mother and daughter watched in anticipation. He swallowed the first bite and then took another, this time pairing it with rice, until he was devouring the meal. The authority of kimchi stew is the strongest of them all. We see a glimpse of Kangwoo's time in hell 10,000 years ago. To survive, he had absorbed demonic energy and transformed into something close to a demon. However, because he was human to begin with, his appetite and taste remained human. No matter how many gruesome monsters he ate, nothing could satisfy his human taste buds. The demons he had to gnaw, tear, and chew on to survive were torturous. Everything tasted terrible, like garbage. After thousands of years of consuming raw flesh and blood, any normal person would have gone insane. But not Kangwoo. He cried and fought endlessly to return to Earth. The only reason he was able to hold on to his sanity for 10,000 years of torture was his desire to return home. Now, after tasting something that tasted like home, something that felt like Earth, he cried again. He really had returned to Earth, and he was finally home. From the bottom of his heart, Kangwoo expressed his gratitude towards Sola and her mother for the first real meal he had in 10,000 years. Even demon kings deserve to be happy. Sola replied that she should be thanking Kangwoo and apologized for only being able to give him this treat after he had saved her life. Yet, Kangwoo enjoyed it so much. With teary eyes and a full heart, the demon king asked for another bowl. Kimchi stew's so good, he turns into a child. Sola promptly prepared another bowl for Kangwoo. She and her mother were delighted to see how much he was enjoying the meal. Kangwoo ate and ate as Sola continued to prepare bowls for him while gazing at him tenderly. She's a keeper. Suddenly, there was an explosion behind Kangwoo, shattering the door and walls of Sola and her mother's home. However, it didn't seem to bother Kangwoo. A silhouette could be seen walking through the entrance made by the explosion, spouting curses. This alarmed and distressed Sola and her mother. The man was revealed to be a yellow-haired, delinquent-looking, and angry young man. No one should get in between a man and his kimchi stew. That's the golden rule. The delinquent, Han Tae-hyun, got into Sola's face and began berating her for entering a gate on her own. Sola was evidently angered by the disrespect that the man was giving her and demanded that he leave. Tae-hyun was angered by this sentiment. Sola yelled at Tae-hyun, warning him not to come close since she was now a full-fledged player. Tae-hyun responded by mocking her threats and punching the wall with a powerful force, intimidating Sola and her mother. Sola once again warned Tae-hyun not to come close while shielding her mom behind her. Put this man in his rightful place, the emergency room. Tae-hyun scoffed at Sola's warning and looked at the terrified mother, his mother expressing his dissatisfaction with his parents. He complained about his dad who had died off quickly and his mom who earned peanuts. Sola cursed her brother, blaming him for the current status of their family. Tae-hyun then forcefully grabbed Sola by the hands and tried to drag her to his guild, the Andras Guild. Sola fought back and cursed the Andras Guild as trash. This prompted Tae-hyun to reply menacingly that he would put Sola in a very good party. Someone has to clean up this trash man. In a desperate attempt, Sola bit Tae-hyun's arm. He then slapped Sola across the room towards her mom. This bite truly enraged Tae-hyun to the highest degree. He stated that Han Sola should just comply and be his tribute. Since Sola claimed to be a full-fledged player, Tae-hyun wanted to face her for real. This is when her mom interjected to plead with her son, to which Tae-hyun replied by throwing his mom across the room and calling her garbage. Sola hurriedly checked if her mom was okay. The disgust for his family was evident on Tae-hyun's face, while Sola glared at her brother with rage and hatred. Forget about the emergency room, this guy should have been the one thrown to hell. He insulted Sola, saying that all she had going for her was her pretty face and that she should just come to the Andras Guild with him to be a tribute to the higher members. It was then that Tae-hyun heard chewing and eating sounds. It was the Demon King Kangwoo, continuing his feast like there was nothing else in the world that mattered. Tae-hyun was confused and taken aback by this sight. Kangwoo showed no signs of stopping anytime soon. Tae-hyun let go of Sola to confront the man eating peacefully at the table. There he is. You gotta get your hands dirty today, Kangwoo. Tae-hyun called out to Kangwoo with no response whatsoever. He scratched his head as he was about to run out of patience. Tae-hyun then suddenly kicked the table, causing everything to fly all over the place. Rest in peace, Tae-hyun. Gone and forgotten. Kangwoo saw bits and pieces of the thing he loved most go up in the air. This shocked and concerned Sola. Kangwoo remained in a shocked state for a moment and then let out the most grief-stricken scream there was. He looked at the floor, seeing the aftermath of Taehyun's kick. Taehyun was confused by this, even mistaking Kangwoo for a beggar with the way he looked at the food. Sola was left speechless by this interaction. Taehyun continued to call out to Kangwoo and started kicking him. That's when the demon inside Kangwoo was awakened. Taehyun was caught off guard by the strange man kneeling in front of him. The tangible bloodlust emanating from Kangwoo made him seem like an actual demon in the eyes of Taehyun. Well, he is the Demon King after all. Filled with rage over the wasted kimchi stew, Kangwoo looked like an animal ready to pounce. Taehyun gritted his teeth at the incomprehensible monster in front of him, preparing to attack with all his might after sensing Kangwoo's ferocity. He channeled energy into his fist, causing it to burn with bright blue flames. Despite Kangwoo's ferocious appearance, Taehyun lifted his fist to strike, refusing to believe that the man in front of him posed a real threat. How dumb and arrogant do you have to be to pull what this guy is doing? But before Taehyun could land a blow, a beam of light struck him. Sola, wielding her white staff and with tears in her eyes, had intervened to distract Taehyun so that Kangwoo could escape. She really is an angel sent from above. However, Kangwoo was already prepared to pounce on Taehyun, wielding the demon Sabnak's authority of the blade. The sudden attack took Sola by surprise, as Kangwoo was already within striking distance of Taehyun. But Taehyun underestimated Kangwoo's speed and fell victim to his critical Mi strike to the chest. The delinquent flew backward, stunned and in pain from the attack. And so, it begins. Taehyun recovered quickly and prepared to attack again, covering his fists with blue flames and cursing Kangwoo. But his attempt was met with a solid counterpunch to the face and a painful kick to the sides from the Demon King. Despite being bloodied and bruised, Taehyun managed to catch Kangwoo's legs and convince himself that the strikes he had received weren't that strong. First stage is always denial. It might cost you though. Kangwoo postured to fall on his back, preparing his next move with his other leg. With one leg held down by Taehyun, Kangwoo delivered a devastating kick to the delinquent's face, freeing himself and activating the authority of the blade immediately. Taehyun couldn't believe that he was being beaten by a man he didn't even know. Kangwoo brandished his blade, preparing to strike the injured delinquent. Taehyun tried to counter by firing his blue flames toward Kangwoo. Realizing too late that it was just another feint, this man fell for 2 feints in a row. A devastating punch to his side finally brought Taehyun to his knees. Extinguishing his flames, Kangwoo stood menacingly over the kneeling Taehyun, staring at him with the pressure of a demon. As Taehyun knelt, wondering who in the world this man was, Kangwoo stepped on the back of his head, not allowing him to lift his head a single inch from the floor. Taehyun suddenly felt a sharp pain in his arms as blood gushed everywhere. Kangwoo had stabbed the authority of the blade into Taehyun's arms to hold him in place. The Demon King was letting out his brutality in the name of the wasted kimchi stew. Taehyun couldn't believe he was suffering so much for a simple dish. The nerve on this guy to disrespect the authority of kimchi stew. Kangwoo grabbed Taehyun by the hair, hearing the delinquent disrespect food and calling it just kimchi stew. The unbridled bloodlust of Kangwoo was starting to infect Taehyun. The delinquent quickly tried to apologize for his disrespect, but the ferocity of the Demon King was already unleashed. Kangwoo bashed Taehyun's face into the ground repeatedly until he finally stopped, leaving the delinquent an unrecognizable, sobbing mess. Kangwoo instructed Taehyun to scream that kimchi stew was a sacred existence, demanding him to scream louder and breaking down Taehyun's resistance by punching his arm wound. The delinquent eventually broke down crying and repeated the mantra repeatedly until he sounded like a believer praying to a god. He finally found the way of the kimchi stew. This absurd scene at their dining area left Sola dumbfounded. Kangwoo continued to torment Taehyun until he was an unrecognizable sobbing mess. Full of anger and dissatisfaction, Kangwoo resembled more of a demon than a human at this point. It was not until Taehyun screamed at the top of his lungs that kimchi stew is a sacred existence. Sounding like a man who had found God, that Kangwoo finally stopped and retracted his blade. He stood up in front of the broken Taehyun, warning him to never look down on kimchi stew ever again. Taehyun just lay there confused and defeated from what he had just experienced. What a brutal way to learn about the importance of respecting food. Sola and her mother's apartment was in poor condition after the scuffle, especially their dining area. Sola's mother finally got the chance to rest and recover from everything that had happened. Sola was still processing what had happened earlier as she dressed her mother's injuries. Take your time, Sola. We see someone washing broken dishes disgruntledly, only for it to actually be the beaten and injured Taehyun. Kangwoo was making him deal with the aftermath of what he started. Kang Woo had even stolen Taehyun's clothes. This man just got beaten, ordered to do chores, and his drip was stolen. The perfect tragedy. The delinquent could not help but cry after experiencing everything Kang Woo had put him through. His dissatisfaction and anger were slowly rising as he washed the dishes, questioning why he was being treated like this. I would have cried too. Kang Woo quickly shut him down by startling him with a simple banging sound of a cup. Kang Woo asked if Taehyun held a grudge against him, to which the traumatized Taehyun denied. Kang Woo diligently watched Taehyun's actions. He thought about his time in hell, where he never got to sleep, eat, or live comfortably, while fighting and devouring demons for survival every day. All of these were luxuries in life that were taken away from him, but the likes of Taehyun didn't even appreciate. Eat your vegetables, guys. Kang Woo gave Taehyun advice to treat his life preciously. Taehyun replied positively, but in the back of his mind, he secretly plotted his revenge. Kang Woo called to the delinquent after finishing the dishes. He laid it out frankly that there was no merit in keeping Taehyun alive. These words terrified Taehyun, and his mind was reeling from what was going to happen next. He's done, period. Kang Woo suddenly grabbed Taehyun by his chest and gave a sinister promise that he wasn't going to kill him. As Kang Woo's eyes turned a menacing dark purple color and a disturbing smile crossed his face, he warned Taehyun that death would probably be better than what he was about to do. Taehyun then felt like he was disconnected from reality. Kang Woo became the phantom of a disturbingly massive purple horse with white hair and 3 menacing dark purple eyes. This was the demon Ouroboros Authority of Fear, another authority demon phantom. Let's go. Taehyun felt as if he was being crushed by Kang Woo's phantom. He begged nonstop for him not to come close. Taehyun was eventually swallowed by the power of the demon Ouroboros, driving him to insanity and causing him to pee his pants as Kang Woo just stood there, etching an uncleansable mark of fear onto Taehyun's soul, turning him into his puppet. He warned the delinquent never to talk about what happened. Taehyun walked away broken and pathetic. He needs some milk. Sola was lost in her thoughts, realizing that once again, Kang Woo had saved not only her, but her mom as well, as she looked at Kang Woo fondly. Guys, is the ship sailing? As Kang Woo was browsing through his phone, he found that his current problem was money, as he had 0 balance to his name. Same brogue, same. That's when he learned about magic stones. Magic stones contained the defeated monster's power. Kang Woo asked Sola if she had any magic stones, and she quickly complied, giving Kang Woo the magic stone from an E-rank goblin from the hunt. It was said that the closer a magic stone was to black, the higher its rank was. I need me some magic stones for real. Kang Woo observed and sensed the magic stone and realized that it didn't seem to have any demonic energy in it. He surmised that it held a different power than demonic energy. Thinking back to his earlier hunt, he had felt a little bit of demonic energy out there. His hypothesis that it came from the magic stone was wrong. The magic stones contained magical power, leaving Kang Woo stumped as to where the demonic energy came from. He returned the magic stone to Sola and devised a plan to sell magic stones for cash, but he needs a player ID to do that. To be a badass hunter, you must follow the law and bureaucracy. Kang Woo asked Sola for the location of the nearest player management office, prompting her to offer to accompany him since she was headed there anyway. She explained that her family situation is not good, which is why she recklessly tried going solo hunting. Fortunately, Kang Woo was there to rescue her in a pinch. After hearing this, Kang Woo thought that after looking at demons for 10,000 years, he had finally found an angel. That's what I've been saying, man. Sola showed her determination to take the basic lessons and aim for her second stage awakening. As Kang Woo and Sola prepared to leave for the player management office, a thought lingered in the back of Kang Woo's mind. He didn't have the intention to help her just yet because moving with someone as weak as Sola would decrease his hunting efficiency. He admitted that it was a bit cold-hearted, but it was the reality. He must avoid losses as much as possible since regaining his power was his utmost priority. The grind will always be the priority. Kang Woo was lost in thought as he stared out the window. In this Earth that he just returned to after 10,000 years, he needed to become even stronger if he wanted to survive, just like before, just like in hell. Sola called out to Kang Woo as he was musing about his next move. She reminded him that he did not have an ID yet, so their first destination was the district office. Let's get registered. We see the brand new citizen card of Kang Woo as he and Sol ride the train on the way to the player management office. This ID is a reissued card that Kang Woo got from the district office without any fuss. The speed of the process makes it evident that no one has put Kang Woo on any missing persons list in the past 5 years. 5 years and no reports. That's rough, man. Thinking about how nobody knew he was missing makes Kang Woo feel dejected. We catch a glimpse of Kang Woo's life prior to his descent into hell. He lived alone and kept to himself, surviving on instant noodles. Just like how he survived on his own in hell, living off raw monster flesh. Nobody knew what he had gone through. Please give this man a happy ending. While Kang Woo was lost in thought, Sola called out to him to look out of the train window as they were about to arrive. A view of a massive, bustling metropolitan area was visible, with an eye-catching building in the center. Sola expressed her love for this view, and Kang Woo agreed, thinking about how things were going to be different this time around. Fingers crossed, buddy. After their train ride, they finally arrived at the entrance of the player management office. Kang Woo was awestruck by the size of the building, which was even bigger than Incheon Airport. Sola then pulled out her old phone to give to Kang Woo to use. Once again, Kang Woo was touched by Sola's kindness and generosity. It is now required to simp for the angel that has mishandled Sola. He thanked Sola for the phone, and she went her own way to register for the beginner's lecture. Before they parted ways, Sola invited Kang Woo to dinner once they finished their affairs in the player management office. They parted ways with Kang Woo all smiles at the prospect of dinner later. Inside the player management office, Kang Woo saw the massive scale of the building, realizing how important players had become. He inserted his newly acquired ID into a machine to get his waiting line number for the test room, then followed the blue line on the floor to test room 09. Kang Woo saw players of all ages and statuses inside the test room. Kang Woo would surely demolish this test, right? He overheard other players discussing the first test results of players like Bak Hwaeun and Choi Yeonju that achieved the legendary S rank in their first stage, and eventually became part of the 5 great guild masters. In Kang Woo's mind, he didn't want to stand out in the early stages. Based on Kang Woo's research, Kim Jae-hyun of Mer, Choi Yeonju of Red Rose, Bak Kang-yeon of Hanul, Jung Hyunju of Sanalei, and Chae Min-hyuk of Onmuri are the 5 great guild masters. Each of these guilds was made by Korea's top 5 rankers. Kang Woo was certain he will eventually meet these people when he regains his strength. After all, the stronger you get, the more you stand out. I'm taking notes of those names. Reading all this information just solidified Kang Woo's desire to regain his strength quickly. Staring at his status window, he considered that maybe he could get stronger due to having the player title now. However, his thoughts were interrupted as his number was called for the test. Kang Woo was escorted to a table and seat with one of the test representatives. The representative wearing glasses instructed Kang Woo to place his hand on a white ball, which would determine Kang Woo's attribute ranking based on the color it changed to. The higher the ranking, the more saturated the color became. Show how strong you really are, Demon King. As Kang Woo reached out to touch the ball, he worried that it was not good to stand out, and it would be a hassle if he came out too strong. The test started, and the ball lit up in a blinding light. Kang Woo was ready to accept the fact that he was too strong for this test after seeing how bright the light was. Oh, Kang Woo, suffering from success. After the light subsided, the representative told Kang Woo his rank. He's an F rank. This was a heavy mental blow to the Demon King. I knew it. Kang Woo was dumbfounded by what he had just heard. He was trapped in his own thoughts as the representative explained the guide and precautions of being a player. He couldn't accept the fact that he was the lowest of the low. He's going through it. He would be issued an E-rank player card and could only enter gates of the same rank unless he had a guardian. Kang Woo's mind was still reeling from the result he had just received. He imagined that Balak would probably burn down the whole building if he heard the representative's words. No one can insult the king when Balak is around. Kang Woo felt his 10,000-year trauma suddenly coming back. He asked the representative for ways to raise his rank. The representative explained that he could go the route that Saul was taking and finish the basic education course to jump straight to D rank or submit a certain volume of magic stones. Kang Woo made up his mind to use the magic stone method. He was handed his very own E-rank player card and immediately refused to enroll in the basic education course, quickly getting up from his seat. Good man. Straight to the grind. The representative took this as an examinee suffering from shock after finding out how low his rank was, the perfect state to perish in a gate. As the representative felt pity for Kang Woo, the ball started to show signs of dark spotting. As she noticed the state of the ball, it turned completely pitch black and eventually cracked open. This startled the representative, as the last tester was just an F rank. Even the past S ranks had only managed to get a dark gray. She thought it would be impossible for someone to get black. I never doubted our boy for a second. Kang Woo strode through the area of a gate entrance. The whole area was crawling with players trying to form a party to take on a gate. Kang Woo once again noticed a rogue class player begging parties to let him in. What's up with rogues in this world? Minding his own business, he presented his player card to the law enforcement and promptly entered an E-rank gate. He stepped out of the gate feeling fine but a tad bit terrified that he might pop out of hell again. He is now in a familiar place where he fought goblins before. As he began to stretch, preparing for his monster hunt, an armor-clad man with a Herculean figure approached him. "That, sir, is an absolute tank." Kang Wu even mistook the man for a bear. It seemed like the man had a hunting party. The man asked Kang Wu if he came to the gate to solo hunt and if he had already experienced his second awakening. Kang Wu answered truthfully. The man was shocked out of concern. It appeared that this ironclad giant was just being helpful. He was a friendly guy. He even invited Kang Wu to join their party for a quick field tour. But his party members vehemently disagreed. "Good guy tank players, everybody loves them." The man even offered to not take any magic stones just to help a solo player out in the field. Seeing the good nature of the giant, Kang Wu politely declined the invitation, but it didn't stop the man from introducing himself as Kang Tae-su. Kang Wu introduced himself in reply, trying to decline politely once again. "Good guy tank players, everybody loves him." Kang Tae-su insisted on using informal language since he was only 24, leaving Kang Wu dumbstruck. Ain't no way this grown, middle-aged looking man is 24. He's got to be at least 39. Kang Tae-su even brought out his ID. Kang Wu casually declined the good-natured Tae-su. Tae-su did not insist further and just left Kang Wu with a word of advice about the goblins in the gate, and that there was a large and powerful goblin out there, the Hobgoblin, a boss monster on a completely different level from regular goblins. Kang Wu expressed his gratitude, and the party went their separate ways. If Kang Wu was a noob, he would have gone with them, but being alone was his comfort zone. Kang Wu readied himself for the challenge of this gate as he activated the Demon Focaler's authority of speed, scouring the forest as he flew by, until he finally found the base camp of the goblins. Kang Wu jumped in the middle of the camp. The Demon King is about to start his hunt. Goblin Slayer hype. Bingo! The smile on Kang Wu's face as he plunged the authority of the blade into his first goblin victim was the smile of a peerless Demon King. He immediately pivoted, and another goblin fell to his blade. He sliced a third goblin in half, thinking to himself that this was too easy. Let the goblin purge begin. The swarm of goblins saw the human running amok and became angry. Activating the authority of the blade in both arms, Kang Wu's massacre had only just begun. Goblins wielding axes and blades could not get close to Kang Wu without suffering a tragic fate. Goblin heads flew all over the place, and goblin bodies were pierced from one end to the other. A rain of blood drenched Kang Wu. With a circular blade sweep, another small group of goblins met their maker. Kang Wu's crimson eyes were like those of a warlord tearing through enemy lines. The crudely made weapons of the goblin swarm were no match for a demon's authority. They were annihilated before a single contact. He's taking all the XP in the map. The goblin swarm fought and tried their hardest, but ultimately fell short. The double edge of Kang Wu's blade was a weapon of mass destruction. With every move and sweep, he took a significant portion of the base camp. Kang Wu's eyes slowly turned to resemble those of a true Demon King. He had no regard for the lives of these pesky monsters. Seeing the slaughter of the few remaining goblins, the remaining ones shuddered in fear. Seeing the number of goblins still left, the blood-soaked Kang Wu prepared for another round. Imagine how strong and ferocious Kang Wu was in his prime if he's like this with a sealed power. We could see Kang Wu retracting his blades and wiping his sweat. The aftermath of his rampage was bloody as can be. With this many monsters, even Kang Wu felt worn out. The system window caught his eye, indicating that he had leveled up 4 times and his demonic energy had increased by 1, wiping out this goblin base camp. He was now at level 8. The grind never stops. Kang Wu started to commence his feast. He activated his very own authority of predation, summoning numerous horrifying dark purple specters to prey on the defeated foe's flesh and blood. Kang Wu sensed the demonic energy inside the goblins, confirming that it wasn't in the magic stone. It was all over their bodies, and the intensity varied based on how long it had been since the monster had passed. This only meant that by preying on monsters that had recently died, he could regain his demonic energy little by little. Kang Wu's demonic energy increased by 2 after using his predation skill. This way, he could still sell magic stones while gaining demonic energy. Kang Wu began running around the bones of the goblins, collecting a vast number of magic stones. All the bones in the field reminded him of the taste of chicken, giving him the idea of going for chicken later with Sola. Kang Wu's mouth watered at this imagination, causing him to work double time on collecting the magic stones around him. "Can I tag along for chicken, Mr. Demon King?" Suddenly, he heard a loud rumbling from a distance. As he turned around, Kang Wu saw a gargantuan figure coming out of the woods, mowing down trees on its way. It was the boss monster that Taesu had warned him about, the Hobgoblin. It's a boss fight. With a menacing look like an overgrown goblin with a giant mass of muscle, it wielded a massive blade and savage-looking armor. When the Hobgoblin caught sight of Kang Wu, it hastily and angrily prepared its blade as demonic energy started to gather around it. This utterly shocked Kang Wu, but the Hobgoblin didn't give him time to process and ferociously charged forward. Demonic energy battle. Startled by the revelation that the beast could control mana, Kang Wu immediately activated his blade on one arm and started accumulating demonic energy on the other. When it came to destructive power, Kang Wu had the utmost confidence in himself. Show the monster how it's done, Kang Wu. The Hobgoblin struck down with immense force, and Kang Wu was forced to dodge, narrowly evading the attack. The monster quickly prepared its mana-infused blade for another strike against Kang Wu. With his dual blades, Kang Wu managed to block the massive edge, but the impact sent him flying and left him vulnerable to another attack. As the next strike descended, Kang Wu attempted another block, but the weight difference between them made it challenging for him to handle the heavy blade above him. Utilizing the Hobgoblin's weight, he redirected the force to the side. Kang Wu countered with his blades, but the Hobgoblin effortlessly deflected the strike with its armor, leaving Kang Wu's defenses exposed. To defeat this beast, he needed to find a significant opening. Float like a feather, sting like a bee. Kang Wu skillfully dodged another fatal strike, then another, and even evaded a powerful swing kick from the Hobgoblin. Despite the monster's massive size, its attacks failed to make contact with Kang Wu. Seizing the opportunity, Kang Wu created distance between himself and the monster, impressed by how effectively it chained its movements. The Hobgoblin was a fitting boss, far surpassing the goblins he had dealt with earlier. Its pursuit even demolished trees in its path. Picking up a goblin's skull, Kang Wu regarded the colossal creature as nothing more than his entertaining prey. He tossed the skull, catching the attention of the enraged Hobgoblin. "That's a foul right there, coach." Hatred and rage were visible on its monstrous face. With the boss in a state of fury, Kang Wu executed his plan. With a chant, a phantom figure of a beautiful woman overlapping with a monstrous form appeared. Kang Wu had activated the Demon Krosol's Authority of Rage. New authority, demon, let's go. The phantom attached itself to the Hobgoblin, and its effects became apparent. The unsuspecting Hobgoblin was suddenly pushed to the limits of its rage, rampaging and attacking recklessly. Kang Wu knew that the fight was over at this point, as strength at the Hobgoblin's blade swings multiplied exponentially. This authority served as a buff, amplifying the user's strength several times over, but it came with a fatal drawback. The price for this buff was a curse that stripped away one's sanity and ability to think clearly. The Hobgoblin's irrational and disorderly attacks made it easy for Kang Wu to weave and dodge with precision. Spotting an opening, Kang Wu ruthlessly pierced the beast's legs, causing it to keel over. Wielding the authority of Blade, Kang Wu met the incoming Hobgoblin attack with a strike of his own. Blood was spilled. Who do you guys think won? Blood flew all over the place as the curtain for this battle closed. The mighty Hobgoblin sat lifeless on the ground. Kang Wu felt disappointed with his performance, as he knew he could have easily defeated the beast had he been in his prime. A single flick of a finger would have probably been enough. Suddenly, a system notification caught Kang Wu's attention. Eliminating the boss and the entire base camp single-handedly granted him a 150% XP bonus. It turned out that the Hobgoblin was a C-rank monster, leveling him up 3 times. Upon reaching level 11, Kang Wu's second stage awakening began. The attribute of his second stage awakening was revealed to be called Unfulfilled Hunger, enabling him to absorb even more demonic energy through predation. This revelation lifted Kang Wu's spirits, as he realized he could become much stronger at a faster pace. He decided to test his newfound ability on the Hobgoblin's corpse right then and there. Activating predation, an incomprehensible dark purple specter devoured the once mighty beast's flesh and blood. Kang Wu noticed that the smoke emanating from predation had become thicker because of unfulfilled hunger. His demonic energy stat increased by a staggering 3 levels, reaching a total of 19. This boost in strength greatly pleased Kang Wu. We love stats going up. Curious about the extent of his increased demonic energy, Kang Wu sent out his energy and discovered that it was now 3 times stronger than before. However, he remained cautious, as he couldn't determine the source of this sudden increase. Just then, Kang Wu felt as though he had been transported to a different and much more sinister world. The sky displayed a blood moon, and an endless sea stretched out before him. It was his 10,000 demon core. As Kang Wu suspected, the seal of his core had been weakened. Imagine being so strong that your energy has a separate world. Hypothesizing that the seal had weakened due to his second stage awakening, Kangwu believed that he could strengthen it further by increasing his level. He stood up, prepared to leave, and picked up the magic stone left by the hobgoblin. His next goal was the third awakening in level 20. Grind, grind, grind. A few hours later, we find ourselves in a vibrant chicken restaurant bustling with customers. Kangwu and Sola were seated at one of the tables. Kangwu voraciously enjoyed his fried chicken, alternating between using a fork and his own plastic-covered hands. Those fried chickens look hella good. Kangwu devoured every piece of chicken to the bone, washing it down with some cold beer. Sola was simply happy to see Kangwu enjoy the meal. She playfully asked if the chicken was better than her kimchi stew, sparking a war in Kangwu's mind. In the end, they both laughed, and Sola's kimchi stew emerged as the winner. To Kangwu's surprise, Sola even offered him the last piece on her plate, which he gratefully accepted. Sola then asked if Kangwu had any relatives or friends nearby. Kangwu's downcast response revealed that he had no friends, family, or even a place to call home. Observing the change in Kangwu's spirits, Sola extended an unexpected invitation for him to stay at her place for a while. This gravely surprised Kangwu. Despite having known each other for a short time, Sola already felt that Kangwu had helped her immensely. Kangwu bashfully agreed to Sola's offer, politely expressing their mutual care and support for each other. Sola sensed that Kangwu was going through a lot at the moment. Sola is best girl, period. Kangwu took something out of his pocket and handed it to Sola, an envelope containing about 3 million won in cash. Once again, Sola was confused by Kangwu's gesture. Kangwu explained that she should consider the money as rent. This deeply unsettled Sola, as she felt that Kangwu had already done so much for her. Aware of Sola's family's tough situation, Kangwu reassured her not to feel burdened by accepting the money, as he would also be enjoying their home-cooked meals. With tears in her eyes, Sola gratefully accepted Kangwu's help. She promised that her kimchi stew would taste even better from now on. All Kangwu could think about was eating kimchi stew every day, and Sola had become his guardian angel of kimchi stew. Kangwu better protect her from any danger. Curious about nearby D-rank gates, Kangwu asked Sola if there were any. Sola answered by telling him about the lizardman gates in the area. As he continued to savor his fried chicken, he pondered whether lizards would be tasty as well. Oh no, don't eat the lizardman, Kangwu. You graduated from eating monsters, right? We jumped to Sola's home. She showed Kangwu his room, which her brother used to use. Kangwu sat on the cozy bed as Sola wished him a good night, turning off the lights on her way out. Kangwu collapsed onto the comfortable bed, reflecting on how long it had been since he had slept on something soft. The tranquility and comfort as he drifted into sleep reassured him that returning was the right decision. Being put to bed by Sola, you definitely made the right decision, bro. In the midst of the day, the bustling area around the gates remained as lively as ever. Kangwu could be seen walking around, observing the players trying their luck at the gates. He even spotted the same rogue begging parties to let him in, as usual. Get this man a party. Kangwu presented his new ID as a D-rank player, minding his own business, and once again entered a gate. This particular D-rank gate resembled a damp forest with swamps. After performing some stretches, we saw Kangwu activate the authority of silence and swiftly move through the depths of the forest. He had prepared this power in advance after Sola had told him that lizardmen compensated for their poor eyesight with their sensitivity to sound. I might need to borrow that authority for a minute, man. Kangwu quickly and silently approached a small group of oblivious lizardmen. Fixing his gaze on his prey, he also recalled Sola's advice that these monsters were weak against fire. Without slowing down, a phantom of a fiery owl manifested behind Kangwu. This was the demon Andra's authority of Hellfire. That fire owl phantom looks badass. He immediately engulfed two of the lizardmen in scorching flames. The monsters writhed in pain from Kangwu's hellfire. The lizardmen fled towards the nearest water source, but luck was not on their side since hellfire could only be extinguished using mana or demonic energy, or else it would burn for eternity. Kangwu swiftly dispatched the small group. The fire didn't just burn their bodies, but their very life essence, leaving behind corpses to be devoured by Kangwu's predation. After using the demon Andra's authority of Hellfire to deal with the lizardmen, he remembered that Han Taeyen's guild name was also Andras. But Kangwu simply shrugged it off. There might be a connection here. We witnessed Kangwu using his predation to consume the lizardmen until nothing remained. Another group of lizardmen witnessed this and immediately prepared to confront Kangwu. They charged at him with rage in their eyes, only to be reduced to charred remains like the previous group. Once again, This group of lizards became food for Kang Wu's predation. He activated the authority of silence to mask the screams of the burning lizardmen, ensuring they wouldn't attract more attention. That is brutal Kang Wu. Sometimes I forget that you were a demon king. After dealing with these two groups, Kang Wu's level only increased once. It became evident that leveling up was becoming slower. As Kang Wu devised a plan to hunt more herds, someone called out to him. The voice pointed out that he looked like a complete newbie based on his equipment. They proceeded to invite Kang Wu to join their guild. It was revealed to be a party of 5 players. Kang Wu asked for the name of their guild. The man in the middle, wearing a necklace with an insignia, proudly answered that they were the Andras Guild. Kang Wu simply stared at them disinterestedly and walked away. As soon as Kang Wu walked away, the group immediately began bad-mouthing him behind his back, their fragile egos bruised. With sinister looks on their faces, they plan to teach Kang Wu a lesson and use him as a means of stress relief. We'll see who will teach who a lesson. Deep in the D-rank swamp gate, obscured by dense trees, hellfire blazes, burning groups of lizardmen brightly. Some are still being scorched, while others are consumed by the specters of Kang Wu's authority of predation. Fried lizard for lunch, anyone? Believing he had consumed every lizardman in the area, Kang Wu contemplates playing it safe or taking risks to level up more quickly. However, he's interrupted by the Andras Guild members he encountered earlier, posing as Kang Wu's seniors. Fried Guild members sounds good right now. One look and Kang Wu knows that the party leader likes to prey on the weak. He dismisses the party's call, stating that he's hunting just fine. But the party leader doesn't believe him, seeing no corpses and Kang Wu in pristine condition. Kang Wu explains that he's resting now, but the party leader calls him out on his disrespectful attitude. Tired of being annoyed by the group, Kang Wu curses the guy out. The authority of trash talk is strong. The party leader is further provoked by Kang Wu, who asks if he wants to fight it out right then and there. Another member tries to confront Kang Wu, but the leader stops him, claiming he will teach Kang Wu a lesson. The leader insults Kang Wu, thinking he should only be a B rank at most. Kang Wu finds this development amusing. The leader draws his blade and bangs it against his arm guard. The members look down at Kang Wu with contempt, reminding him that lizardmen are attracted to loud sounds. Amused by their plan, Kang Wu chuckles. He finds the leader's sword banging to lure lizardmen. Cute. He's like a little drummer boy. As the swamp began to rumble with the approaching horde of lizardmen, the Andras Guild leader ordered his party to prepare their magic barriers. He arrogantly taunted Kang Wu, asking what he would do when the dozen or so lizardmen arrived. He even offered to help Kang Wu if he kneeled before the beasts arrived. Kang Wu laughed in response and asked the party if that was all they had in mind. As the leader became confused by Kang Wu's response, Kang Wu prepared his hands. Suddenly, Kang Wu's eyes transformed into a demonic appearance, and he clapped his hands with overwhelming force. He warned the party that if they're doing something, they should go all the way. He activated the authority of Deafening Roar to clap so loudly that it echoed throughout the entire D-rank gate area. We love Kang Wu's pettiness. The party was left dumbfounded by this sight. Kang Wu then proceeded to stomp on the floor with such force that it caused the ground to shake and the trees to sway. The leader called out to Kang Wu to stop, calling him a psychopath. When Kang Wu finally stopped, he looked at the party with a mischievous expression. The leader continued to berate him while the members huddled together in their small barrier, unnerved by the sudden onslaught of sound. Rest in peace, you won't be missed. Nearby, a swarm of lizardmen started to creep closer and closer. Coming from the water, trees, and every nest, the lizards began to follow Kang Wu's deafening noise. The party was terrified at the sight of the countless lizardmen surrounding them, relentlessly attacking their small magic barrier. They had never seen so many monsters before and were quickly losing hope. The leader cursed Kang Wu for being so reckless with his use of sound, but Kang Wu just laughed and jumped onto a nearby tree branch, taunting the leader that he too knew how sensitive lizardmen were to sound. These guys really picked the wrong newbie to mess with. The swarm of lizardmen began their assault, attacking the magic barrier relentlessly to get to the humans inside. The leader told Kang Wu that they would all die because of his actions, but Kang Wu responded that he wasn't going to die there, only the Andras Guild party. With that, Kang Wu activated his authority of silence, and the lizardmen rushing from all directions just passed by him, as if he didn't exist. The leader was left stunned and terrified, witnessing someone with the ability to control sound in such a way. Does this mean he can fart loudly or silently, depending on his will? With a savage strike, the small magic barrier shattered, leaving the Andras Guild party vulnerable to the swarm of lizardmen. The party leader was about to call for another barrier when he turned around and saw their mage brutally impaled by a lizardman's blade. The mage pleaded for help as the lizardman opened its jaw to make her its lunch. That's one down. As another member of the party was devoured by a lizardman, the leader fell in horror, trying to muffle his cries to avoid attracting attention. Suddenly, he noticed Kangwoo watching the scene unfold. He meekly asked for Kangwoo's help, apologizing for doing the Demon King wrong. But Kangwoo simply replied with a cute wish of good luck. He's the king of taunting. The leader's rage boiled over as he screamed curses at Kangwoo, blaming him for luring the lizardman to the area. The sound of his screams attracted the lizardman, who proceeded to feast on the Andres Guild party leader. Bro, you literally started your own downfall. Kangwoo watched apathetically as he contemplated his principles: fight evil with larger evil, and murderous intent with even greater murderous intent. In philosopher Kangwoo we trust. Soon, he unleashed hellfire, scorching roots of lizardmen into oblivion. After extinguishing the hellfire, Kangwoo activated his predation skill, increasing his demonic energy by 1 point. He learned that the Gaia system protected players, but he didn't care about consuming their special abilities. All that mattered was his demonic energy, which had now reached 30. Kangwoo was thrilled with the significant boost in power from his authority of hellfire. Summoning the demon Andres Phantom had resulted in a larger and brighter blaze, and even the quality of his demonic energy had improved. All he needed now was to level up. Bigger fires, bigger desires. Picking up a mana stone, Kangwoo became excited for his third awakening. He had been hunting relentlessly for the past few days, and he knew the third awakening could be far off. He left the remains of the Andres Guild party that had tried to cross him and walked away. 3 days later, in Sola's apartment, Kangwoo was shoving a pot of kimchi stew like it was a drink. Once again, he didn't leave a single drop of his favorite dish, praising Sola for her remarkable cooking skills. The food in these panels is making me hungry. When Sol asked if he was going to hunt again that day, Kangwoo confirmed that he was. Sola expressed her concern that he had been pushing himself too hard and hadn't taken a break in the last few days. Our angel is so thoughtful. As she poured lemon tea for Kangwoo, he asked when she would finish the basic education course. She replied that she would finish soon, and that they were going for a goblin hunt the next day. Sola had expressed her wish to achieve her second awakening soon, but Kangwoo reassured her that she would get there soon enough. Sola graciously offers Kangwoo tea before he heads out again, and he can't help but see her as an angel taking care of him. Even our MC agrees that she's an actual angel. During their conversation, Sola mentions the rumors of chaos players lurking around the gates. While it might just be hearsay, she reminds Kangwoo to be cautious nonetheless. As Kangwoo hunts in the Lizardman Gate, he reflects on the rumors of chaos players. Could it be because of what he did to the Andres Guild party? But the absence of any witnesses and the bodies looking like they were eliminated by savage lizardmen suggests otherwise. Kangwoo can't be too sure if he's the one being rumored about, but he knows he must prepare for anything and focus on leveling up quickly. Just as he devours the last of the lizardmen, Kangwoo reaches level 20 and unlocks his third awakening. This time, the surge of power is even more incredible than before. Testing out his newfound strength, he summons the authority of Hellfire, and a massive blaze burns brighter than ever. With each awakening, the seal on his 10,000 demon core weakens, allowing more demonic energy to leak through. The Demon King in his prime must be a menace to society if he's already this strong. As he looks at a magic stone, Kangwoo feeds it to his Predation Spectre, and to his surprise, the magic stone melts seamlessly into his ability. Kangwoo stared intently at the description of his third awakening special ability, Mana Craving. It was a powerful skill that allowed him to convert mana from magic stones into demonic energy. With a single magic stone, he fed his Spectre, and the increase in demonic energy was apparent. It was surprising to see that it gave the same amount of demonic energy as a monster. This meant that he could easily double his progress, although he would have to give up earning money from mana stones. This man keeps on getting booster packs. Fortunately, Kangwoo had already earned a lot of money over the past few days, so he didn't need to hold back on consuming mana stones for the time being. He wanted to test out his abilities even more, so he tied his jacket around his waist and prepared to run wild. The muscle gains, though, he's built different. With a burst of force, Kangwoo jumped higher than the trees in the damp forest. He deactivated his predation and activated the authority of Sky, which took the shape of 6 threatening purple wings, giving him the ability to fly. As he scouted and scoured the forest, Kangwoo regretted not having enough demonic energy to use the authority of observation, which would have allowed him to see through the dense foliage. This is like Tokyo Ghoul, but he can fly. Suddenly, he heard an agitated voice in the distance. The voice sounded familiar to him, and as he approached, he saw Kang Tae-su, the good guy tank player he had encountered at the Goblin Gate. Tae-su was gritting his bloody teeth as he confronted two men hurling insults at him. Kang-woo sneaked around in the background to get a feel of what was going on. He knew that this was not a good situation. He saw the rogue guy who had been constantly looking for a party outside the gates sprawled on the ground, unconscious and injured. If they bother our boy Tae-su, it's on sight for real. Tae-su confronted the two attackers, furious that they had harmed members of their own party, but the sinister duo just laughed off his anger. Kang-woo saw that Tae-su had been betrayed by these men and suspected they were the infamous Chaos players from the rumors. Suddenly, one of the Chaos players charged towards Tae-su with a maniacal look in his eyes. But Tae-su, using his massive shield, was able to block the attack, sending himself flying with the raw force of the strike. The Chaos players were surprised at how resilient Tae-su was for a second stage awakener. Our MC is not the only person built different in this forest. Tae-su proudly stood with his shield, determined to never go down without a fight. His shield began to glow with a magical light, and he strengthened his defense even further. But the Chaos players knew that, without undergoing a third awakening, Tae-su was no match for them. As the Chaos players prepared to finish the fight, Kang-woo was torn between curiosity and concern. He remembered his encounter with the good-hearted Tae-su and wondered if he should intervene. That's a potential gym buddy for life dude. As the Chaos player prepared his next attack, Kang-woo emerged from hiding, surprising the axe-wielding attacker. But Kang-woo was even more shocked to see that these attackers were using demonic energy. The Chaos players taunted Kang-woo, warning him that he wouldn't make it out of there in one piece now that he had seen their faces. But Tae-su recognized Kang-woo and called out to him with respect. It's Operation Saving Tae-su. The Chaos players, meanwhile, continued to talk amongst themselves, planning to dispatch Kang-woo. They reminded each other that they had already fulfilled their quota with Tae-su and the rogue. The axe-wielding Chaos player laughed as he prepared to brandish his demonic energy-coated weapon, relishing the chance to kill for the first time in a long while. But Tae-su hurriedly shouted at Kang-woo to get back as the savage wielded two axes filled with demonic energy and charged towards him. But Kang-woo stood his ground, responding with a loud slap across the face before the savage could even touch him. He's the definition of mess around and find out. The Chaos players were confused and afraid, asking each other what was going on as the savage was knocked out cold on the ground. He didn't even know what hit him. Tae-su couldn't believe what he was seeing as Kang-woo repeatedly slapped the guy on the ground. The other Chaos player charged at Kang-woo with his sword covered in demonic energy, but Kang-woo remained indifferent. With a single palm strike, Kang-woo activated the authority of Destructive Void, and the guy was left writhing in pain as he flew and crashed into a tree, unconscious and with his internal organs in shambles. Kang-woo just introduced that guy to his new internal decorator, Chaos and Destruction. The savage watched in horror as Kang-woo pulled him up by his red hair and coldly demanded to know where they had obtained the demonic energy. Before the savage could respond with curses, Kang-woo forcefully bashed his face into the dirt of the swampy forest. The Demon King got a real hands-on approach to interrogations, doesn't he? Kang-woo remained cold and determined as he asserted that he would be the only one asking questions. He asked the defeated savage once more where they obtained their demonic energy, but the man simply responded that he couldn't say. Hearing this response, Kang-woo's own demonic energy began to surface. A phantom of a three-eyed malefic demon horse appeared before the man as Kang-woo activated the authority of fear. It's really horsing around with that guy's fears. The man was enveloped in horrors he had never experienced before. Under the grip of Kang-woo's power, he screamed in terror while Kang-woo stood before him in a threatening stance. The man started to mutter the word Guildmaster repeatedly, and the other Chaos player, who had been injured, urged his companion to stop. Seeing the other man get up, Kang-woo began to gather a terrifying force of demonic energy once again in the palm of his hands. He hurled the attack towards the man, ordering him to stay out of this. That's what happens when you lack manners. Kang-woo continued to press the savage for answers regarding the so-called Guildmaster. To his surprise, the savage confessed that they belonged to the Andras Guild. He explained that the Guildmaster had bestowed this power upon them through a ceremony known as the Ritual. Kang-woo persisted in his questioning, but the man hesitated to answer. Observing that the man had not yet fully recovered his senses, Kang-woo once again activated the authority of fear, invoking an indelible mark of fear upon the man's soul. As the man began to divulge details about the ritual, his body convulsed and trembled, with veins bulging out all over. He was barely able to finish speaking before he started foaming at the mouth and losing his sanity, ultimately spewing a copious amount of blood. Kang Wu found this development frustrating, as it appeared that a device had been implanted in the man to eliminate him if he revealed any information about the ritual. We just stumbled upon the ultimate anti-snitch device. A few moments later, Tae-Soo cautiously approached Kang Wu and asked if he was the same Kang Wu he knew. At that moment, the rogue regained consciousness. Tae-Soo introduced Kang Wu to the rescued rogue, Taehyun, as their savior. Tae-Soo questioned why Kang Wu had been in an E-rank gate not long ago if he possessed such formidable strength, but Kang Wu merely shrugged. Tae-Soo concluded that Kang Wu must not have been a novice in the first place. He expressed his sincere gratitude to Kang Wu for saving them from the Chaos players, and even Taehyun offered his thanks in a meek voice. Tae-Soo had returned to his cheerful and boisterous self, showering Kang Wu with compliments about his immense strength and pledging to repay his debt. Kang Wu was unaccustomed to Tae-Soo's upbeat demeanor. Kang Wu's strength is causing a Tae-Tsunami of compliments. Changing the subject, Tae-Soo remarked that he already knew the Andras Guild had a poor reputation, but he found it unbelievable that they would stoop so low as to collaborate with Chaos players. He pulled out his phone, determined to report the incident to the Hwoarang squad. Kang Wu, who was oblivious to this organization, inquired about its nature. Tae-Soo explained that the Hwoarang squad was a player squad that operated under the direct jurisdiction of the government. If they reported the Andras Guild's activities, the squad would commence an investigation. However, Kang Wu urged Tae-Soo not to report what had happened, stating that he would personally take care of the Andras Guild. This surprised both Tae-Soo and Taehyun. Kang Wu was a one-man army after all. Kang Wu confidently declared that he would handle the Andras Guild alone, and Tae-Soo was taken aback. He respectfully acknowledged Kang Wu's decision and suddenly kneeled before him, catching Kang Wu off guard. Tae-Soo made a solemn vow, stating that he owed his life to Kang Wu and that he would support Kang Wu's cause. Together, they would wield the Mace of Justice against the villains of the Andras Guild. Tae-Soo's words echoed the chivalric spirit of the Murim world, and he claimed to have fallen for Kang Wu's passionate sense of duty. As Kang Wu looked on awkwardly, not knowing how to respond, all he could think of was how much Tae-Soo resembled his loyal subordinate, Balak. Who else thinks that the two might be twins? The rogue, Taehyun, chimed in and expressed his gratitude towards Kang Wu, sincerely promising that he too would repay his savior one way or another, even though if he was a RSA, Kang Wu was unfamiliar with this term. Taehyun explained that it means rogues should shut up and apply bandages, as bandits are known to be bad at dealing damage or tanking. It's a term coined because people like Taehyun aren't normally welcomed in parties. How unlucky do you have to be to awaken as a rogue? Tae-Soo suggested building a team right now with the goal of repaying Kang Wu. The emotional Taehyun was frustrated that he couldn't do anything against the Chaos players. He feared that he would just hinder Kang Wu and the team. He declared with dignity that he wants to become strong enough to assist Kang Wu. Taehyun's about to go on his very own training arc. Kang Wu was dumbfounded at the quick development of this simple interaction with Tae-Soo and Taehyun. The rogue promptly bid his farewell to the two. Kang Wu convinced himself that it would be good to have people indebted to him. But the problem is that he didn't know what to do with the enthusiastic Tae-Soo. He asked the ironclad tank what level he was, and it turned out that he was only level 12, just reaching his second awakening not long ago. His first awakening ability was C rank, so he had an easy time leveling by hunting. Also, his second awakening was classified as A rank. Kang Wu was pleased with the potential of this giant. That's a Giga Chad tank in the making right there. When asked about guilds, Tae-Soo just replied that he was considering joining one, but he no longer needs to join one now. He clenched his fists and proudly declared that he made up his mind to follow Kang Wu, his image reminiscent of the demon Balak. Kang Wu will probably create the best guild by accident. Kang Wu saw the potential in Tae-Soo, as a player who receives a high rank for their second awakening is said to have a higher likelihood of receiving even better abilities in future awakenings. He thought about Sola, who was supposed to have her second awakening soon as well. Kang Wu agreed to take the tank in from now on, causing Tae-Soo to joyfully celebrate, thanking his newfound brother, Kang Wu. They exchanged contact information so that Tae-Soo could come to Kang Wu's aid anytime. Kang Wu asked for a favor from the Herculean man, which Tae-Soo enthusiastically agreed to without hesitation. Kang Wu planned to have Tae-Soo and Sol form a party to hunt and become stronger together. Tae-Soo was happy to oblige, especially after learning that Sola is a healer class. With their affairs settled, Tae-Soo asked Kang Wu if he was ready to head to the Andras Guild right now. Kang Wu contemplated his next move. Let him cook. The remaining Chaos player lay unconscious and injured in the forest bushes. Kang Wu woke him up with a chokehold against a tree and began to interrogate him. He warned the man not to lie and began his questioning. The man's name was Kang Chulho. Kangwoo asked Chulho what they meant by capturing players alive and bringing them back. Chulho replied that he didn't remember, and Kangwoo responded with a swift and sharp kick to the face, sending the man to the ground in pain. Looks like Chulho's memory needs a little kickstart. Kangwoo grabbed Chulho by his hair and repeated the question. He fearfully confessed that they captured players alive to offer them as sacrifices. The trembling Chulho couldn't predict Kangwoo's next move. Kangwoo threw Chulho away like trash, frustrated with the number of lunatics he had encountered. He even recalled the delinquent Han Taehyun saying the same thing a few days ago. Birds of the same crappy feather flock together. With a devious smile, Kangwoo grabbed the bloody Chulho. Resembling a demon more than a human, Kangwoo menacingly asked the trembling man for a favor. In the depths of the night, a man can be seen pulling some luggage in the seedy part of the city. The neon signs of establishments are his only source of light. It's Kang Chulho. He is stopped by another man who shines a flashlight on his face. The white-haired man confirms Kang Chulho's identity and asks what took him so long. Upon seeing Chulho's battered and bruised face, he expresses incredulity that he sustained such injuries from a simple D-rank gate. He also asks about the savage man named Taeho, to which Chulho hurriedly informs him that Taeho is dead. As they say, snitches get stitches. The skeptical white-haired man continues to question Chulho incessantly. Chulho answers that there was a high-level player among the sacrifices, and that's why Taeho was eliminated, and he barely escaped. He opens the luggage revealing the bloody dark-haired sacrifice. That sacrifice looks like it's seen better days. The white-haired man confirms the condition of the sacrifice, but he's still skeptical about Chulho. He reassures Chulho that it's better to have fewer people, and since Chulho wrought the sacrifice, he will get baptized, obtaining all the demonic energy for himself. Chulho looks distressed as the man accuses him of killing his companion to monopolize the demonic energy. Chulho leaves the sacrifice and runs away from the man and the luggage as fast as possible. The fear in Chulho's face is evident as he dashes as far away as possible. The white-haired man brings the sacrifice inside a suspicious building. Inside the suspicious establishment lies a large hall adorned with the insignia of the Andras Guild. An altar is located at its center, and multiple figures donning robes stand around. This is the headquarters of the Andras Guild. I'm not an expert on cults, but that's definitely a cult. The guild leader reprimanded the man for being late, but the subordinate tried to explain. However, the masked guild leader only cared about the sacrifice and beckoned his underling to bring it forth. The luggage was opened, and robed figures chanted praises for the great Andras as the sacrifice. Kangwoo is carried towards the altar. MC is about to win Oscars with how good he's acting in this. The guild leader mused to himself that it had been a year since his conversion, and his followers were steadily increasing in number. He's been enticing players, preying on their thirst for power through demonic energy. Removing his mask, the guild leader revealed an unhinged expression as the ceremony commenced. He ordered for the magic stones to be prepared, and the followers hurriedly complied. A treasure box filled with countless magic stones was seen being prepared at the altar. Free magic stones? Don't mind if I do. That's probably what our boy is thinking. The leader continued to revel in his plan to become more demonized and eventually become a complete demon. He asked the servants who would be baptized that day, but Chulho, who was supposed to be baptized, had already fled and refused to partake in the ceremony. As the followers became confused about who would be baptized, the guild leader banged his staff and demanded silence. He lectured that those who do not work do not deserve to be baptized. He continued, stating that they would not be present at the ceremony to become stronger if it were not for him. Therefore, this ownerless sacrifice would belong to him. And with that, the ceremony would begin. This man is not only crazy, he's also a bad boss. Give some for the people, man. The guild leader crushed a magic stone in front of the altar, releasing its magic throughout the room. He's pleased with the number of magic stones his guild had amassed, allowing him to hold more and more ceremonies to grow stronger than ever before. A sinister crack in the fabric of reality appeared above the altar, and demonic energy poured out. The deranged leader was ecstatic at the sight of the magnificent demonic energy surging. He wished he could immediately absorb it into his body, but demonic energy was too dangerous for humans to take in. Only death would follow without a medium to absorb it. However, if he let the sacrifice absorb demonic energy until they could no longer, he could drink the power through the blood of their corpse and effectively absorb refined demonic energy. So they're basically glorified mosquitoes. He masterfully directed the cascading demonic energy towards the body of Kangwoo, letting it engulf the ceremony's sacrifice. He continued to direct the demonic energy towards Kangwu, impressed with how much the sacrifice was absorbing. He became overjoyed at this discovery since the longer the sacrifice lasted, the more demonic energy he could obtain. Free demonic energy. What a great deal. He frenziedly reveled at this sacrifice, absorbing 5 times more than a normal human, then 10 times 15, and celebrated what an incredible sacrifice this human was. He could not wait to know how much demonic energy he would obtain after absorbing it from Kangwu. He manically laughed at the prospect of his sacrifice, pathetically screaming as he injected him with demonic energy. The amount of energy absorbed by Kangwu was astounding. 17 times more than a normal human. 20 times, 30 times, 40, 50. However, as the demonic energy continued to swirl around the altar with a terrifying hue, it did not show any signs of stopping, and the guild leader began to suspect that something was wrong. If only my bank account could absorb money as well as Kangwu absorbs demonic energy. The guild leader panicked, slowly realizing what was happening. He repeatedly screamed for the ceremony to stop, to no avail. Even the followers were starting to sense that something was wrong. The manic guild leader looked like he was going insane as he screamed at the top of his lungs to stop the ritual. And that's when the rift above the altar dissipated. The guild leader kneeled in defeat at what had just happened. He could not believe what had transpired. That's when Kangwu started to get up from lying down on the altar. It turned out that the boost from the sacrificial ceremony had allowed him to level up 20 stats. The leader looked incredulously at the supposed sacrifice, slowly standing up from the altar. Kangwu mocked the leader by saying that they should do this ceremony thing one more time. The playful Kangwu infuriated the guild leader. Imagine robbing a whole demonic guild while pretending to sleep. The leader trembled in anger, denying what had just happened. The followers could see how insane their leader looked. He charged at Kangwu while spouting curses and gathering demonic energy in his staff. He cast his spell, which resembled Kangwu's Hellfire, and the amused Kangwu simply dodged to the side. The Hellfire spell landed and exploded on the ground as Kangwu praised it as not bad. That's not Hellfire. That's cute fire. The enraged leader cast even more small Hellfire balls around him, intending to burn Kangwu alive. 5 Hellfire balls locked onto Kangwu would promptly converge to wipe him out. With a massive explosion, Kangwu's figure was engulfed by the brightness of Hellfire. Contrary to what the guild leader expected, his small Hellfire balls were deflected all over the place. He couldn't believe what had just happened to his spell as he looked at his supposed sacrifice, sensing pure demonic energy. Kangwu emerged clad in a sinister, imposing half-armor fitting for a demon king. He had activated the authority of Iron Wall. Kangwu smiled cunningly as it had certainly gotten more convenient for him to pull this off with more demonic energy. New armors looking sick as hell, literal hell. The frustrated leader hurriedly ordered his followers to start attacking the armored Kangwu. The mob of Road Andra's guild members charged towards their target, brandishing different weapons and shouting their war cries. Kangwu stood steadily as demonic energy swirled around him. When one member wielding a sword got inside his striking distance, he activated the authority of Blade and took the first blood by cutting off the member's hand that was holding the sword. That's one way to disarm your opponent, literally. Kangwu followed it up with a forceful kick in the stomach, sending the amputated member towards his guildmates. The relentless Kangwu didn't stop and charged towards the mass of Road figures. He readied his blade and promptly stabbed another member in the shoulder. That's when the guild leader beckoned his underlings to get out of the way. Catching Kangwu's attention, this guild leader really thinks he's him. The members made space with utmost confidence for their master, Chu Dukyun. Dukyun confidently laughed as he urged everyone to watch his next move. He maniacally chanted his spell, which consisted of flames that could incinerate all life forms. The authority of Hellfire. Kangwu looked at the proud Dukyun intently and couldn't help but laugh at the pathetic, try-hard guy. Dukyun continued his villainous tirade while looking insane, confident that the man in front of him could not surpass his power. That's when Kangwu activated the real authority of Hellfire. A massive and fierce hue of Hellfire blazed in the hall, towering over everyone. It dwarfed the tiny Hellfire that Dukyun had